I packed the podcast up and went on the road as I traveled to New York City to chat with a nonprofit that's made it its mission in helping students solve problems that we all know too well. Drunk driving, substance abuse, and poor life choices are all driven by one single component: destructive decision making. How many times throughout your life can you look back and think of a destructive decision that you made? You may have even made one this week already. Do you ever think of why you made that decision? Many would say your past experiences dictate your current decisions you make. That would be most ideal. However, the more reflective we are, it's easy to realize and say emotions are just as important and at many times even outweigh our own past experiences in motivating our future decisions.
Oh my goodness!
Might be more complex than we thought, right? So traveling to New York City, I had the privilege of speaking with S.A.D., Students Against Destructive Decisions, which is a nonprofit, and in a 5-part series, we dedicated to understanding why students and teens make the decisions that they do, while also discussing the influences that social media and parenting have on student behavior. Starting off with Bailey Bindle, who gives us a rundown of the nonprofit S.A.D. being ran by students to help other students. Everyone in the high school was forced to take the "I will not text while driving" pledge.
Yep.
All that stuff, and it lasts for a little bit, and it's nice. Mm-hmm. But the change over the course of years is really like what we're trying to do. And it's like, how do we get to that point, right?
Exactly. And S.A.D.'s been around for over 40 years now. And so that's something that we've had to work through. How do we stay relevant? How do we continue working with students so that this lasts more than just a few weeks and they take this into their adulthood? And as they become parents, how does that reflect on the way that they parent their children and make sure that their children have those conversations with them and they stay safe and they know that they can have a safe, caring adult to come to as well. So it's kind of a full circle approach that we're looking at in this organization as well.
Yeah, and what type of students are we talking? Are we talking high school? Are we talking college, beyond, or younger even?
Yeah, so the majority of our presence is in high schools, a lot of middle school chapters, and we're working in the college space as well. And there are some unique opportunities where we have elementary school chapters, and those are typically chapters who are working with the high school chapters, and it's more of a mentor program. So they're teaching them how important it is to stay substance-free or wear their seatbelt in, that simplistic format through a mentorship.
From my own perspective, you definitely have your work cut out for
yes.
you.
Yes, we do.
Now, how much influence does a parent play in the role of their students' decisions? Hillary Morgan joined the podcast from S.A.D. and brought up some really thought-provoking insight into the different methods of communicating with a teen from a parent's point of view. We also chat about the array of different threats teens face in the age of social media, including one clip that's been seen over 275,000 times so far on Instagram.
It is insanity. The disrespect in the classroom, the blatant willingness to look me in the eye and tell me, I'm going to fail your class so I can take it over again next year, so it's not with you. Right before I left, that was what a student looked at me and said. And not because I was a bad teacher, not because I was a horrible person, but because I had expectations. You earn the credit in my class the way it's supposed to be. And I ask you to step up. I've set the bar here because I know you can reach it. And that was not how he was raised. That was never experiences he had ever, been given. So it was really sort of this abrasive piece, and we've lost a lot of that. We have, we went from having helicopter parents, the parents that were like, I'm going to make sure, watch over you and make sure everything's okay. We call them now lawnmower parents, where they mow every problem out of the way before their kid ever hits it, which means our kids are not developing resiliency skills. They're not developing problem solving and decision making.
They're just developing manipulation tactics.
Manipulation tactics that if they can't solve it, or if they can't manipulate themselves, they call their parents, and their parents, their parents come in and they, with a heavy hand.
Smoking and substance abuse has always long since been created in the teen years, with students easily being influenced by the role of peer pressures and target marketing. Eliza Fitzpatrick joined the podcast to discuss the effects substance abuse can have on our lives in all ways, physically, emotionally, and socially. Blacking out, because when you truly black out, the next day, what's the very first thing people say when they black out the next day?
Like, oh, I have no idea what happened.
No
last
idea.
night.
They have no memory.
Yeah.
And they're trying to search for those memories. But your hippocampus, when it is drowned in alcohol, you are actually not creating any memories.
Right.
You're not creating. So you are trying to then the next day, it's like searching on the computer for a file that's not there. It's never been there.
Mm-hmm.
And you might actually have some sort of, I remember going to that bathroom, or I remember, going to the food truck. And the only times reason why you remember that is because you went from a dark club or a dark basement party into a very bright bathroom, and your brain, like, it's adrenaline, goes, whoa, where are we? And then you might remember that sliver thought of like smelling the food truck. And that brings you not to a sober moment, but to a second. And then you remember slivers of that. But true blacking out, there are no memories. One of the most important subjects that makes substance abuse so critical in the discussion is what it can lead to. Happening all across the country, students constantly stare down the possibilities of drunk driving, distracted driving, and basically all things driving. One of S.A.D.'s engagement specialists, Louis Pratt, joined the podcast to chat about these topics from a student's point of view and how more technology being installed in our cars really is not a good thing. Which is like, there's so many wrongs there, and the arrogance too. But you also find like you said, somebody saying, "Oh, it's not that bad," or whatever their rationale is, and people, "Oh yeah, I'm a good drunk driver," or "I'm a good whatever it is."
You're not good at it. You just caught yourself lucky.
And it reminds me of like the Mel Gibson DUI in 2006. You know Mel Gibson is a guy from Patriot. He famous DUI because he made it famous because he got out of the car super bombed. I mean, wasted. I don't know what his what he ended up blowing, but well over 0.08. He tried to rationalize with it, and he said, "I only had 8 double shots," which is like a weird way of saying I had 16 drinks of alcohol.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that is wild, a wild thing to say.
I think that's like a big thing is they try to rationalize.
They rationalize where they try to downplay it.
Right.
And it's like, dude, it's like 8 double shots. Like, you know how much that alcohol that is? That is like a lot of actual bottles. Like a 750 milliliter bottle, actually, it comes out to about 23 servings, which is, he almost just admitted to having an entire bottle of liquor by downplaying that. And you realize how dangerous it is at a guy like that. Even maybe he's an alcoholic, maybe he drinks a lot, so his tolerance is very high, but there's still, it's just an enormous level.
And there's like no excuse for it in general. And I think one of the excuses that teens try to use is that they're good at multitasking. Psychologically, your brain is wired to be a monotasker. Nobody can multitask. That's just not how our brains are wired. And I think that's an excuse that comes up a lot too is, oh, I can text and drive. Oh, I can do this and drive. You're not meant to be a multitasker. Your brain can only focus on something once. That's just how psychology has studied it. And that's how it's found that's worked.
Avoiding drunk driving is a task that anyone who enjoys a night out has to navigate from. However, as a party inches closer to the end of the evening, Haley Sandstrom joined the podcast to chat about ensuring that a night out would end as a safe night out.
I think that someone needs to be ready to analyze every situation that could possibly happen and think what is the best outcome and how do we get to that better outcome.
You know what I've learned in life is leave when you say this night could not get any better. That is when you
We're
leave.
done.
That is it really, because it's like that you've peaked. It is not, because you're probably right. It's not going to get any better than that. And it's going to be all downhill. And like the longer you stay, and like, it's almost like, you know, you want to call that person, I forget the the name. It's just like teasing him that they're like too hardcore on like, oh no, we said 2 o'clock, we're leaving at 2 o'clock. That friend is holding the line of the agreement and the rules. Because if not, then you might as well not have made anything. You know what I'm saying? You can listen to each full episode on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts, as well as right here on the YouTube channel, with new episodes out each and every week, speaking with nonprofits and people from all across the world looking to make a difference in others. You can also learn more on S.A.D. and their amazing work at SADD.org. That's SADD.org, as they have different chapters nationwide throughout high schools and colleges all around the country. And if you're in high school or in college, you definitely want to be a part of this, as you can help lead other students towards a happier and safer lifestyle. Leave a comment or shoot me a message if you have any questions or thoughts, and I hope you enjoy the episodes. Please subscribe if you'd love to see more similar content, and head over to Spotify, check out the episodes, and I will see you then.